Hello, hello, beautiful women of the world. I am so happy to have you on this show because today is special. Anyway, welcome to the show, Your Radiant Life Over 45. It's for healthy, happy, and prosperous women who are not done yet and far from it. I believe in a world where women are cherished and thrive. And I know that the world needs your light. That's why I'm so passionate about helping you discover your unique gift confidently and with pride. So with 25 years of professional experience as a naturopathic doctor, specializing in healthy aging and longevity, and as a lifestyle and relationship coach, I share my heart and my knowledge with my vast personal experience with you. So if this sounds good to you, be my guest here every Saturday at this time on this show. And let's begin. Today, I have a special treat for you. I have with me somebody who I only met a couple of weeks ago, but she wowed me. So a very quick bio about her, Dr. Michelle Zive. Is this how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, you got it.
Zive has a PhD, an FA, and an RD. That's probably you are a nurse as well?
Registered dietitian.
A dietitian, okay.
Yeah.
So she has a doctor and has always been drawn to stories, either reading or telling them, and now disrupting them. So she came to storytelling quite naturally. Some would say it was in her genes. With her name, Murphy, she is from a long line of Irish storytellers. So in her 40s, she was told by 3 women that once you get 50, become 50 years old, you become invisible. This comment inspired her to go back to college and get her PhD in leadership. She was 52 when she graduated from the University of San Diego. And her experiences around sexism and ageism and USD prompted her to start the Representation Rebellion movement. So Representation Rebellion means or aims to help women disrupt the stories that sell about us by telling our own. That way we disrupt storytelling, and this way disruptive storytelling was born under the leadership of Dr. Michelle Zive. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What an introduction.
Oh,
it's me.
It's you. Yes, it's you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There we go. You see, you're already making a difference. It's an unusual reaction to your own story, right?
Yeah. Way to go, Michelle.
Yeah. Right. So storytelling is something that must be in all of our DNA, because our ancestors did it, right? Around the fire, in the woods, or wherever we had our camps. But today, why are stories so important today, Michelle?
Yeah, going back in history, it is important because it is in our DNA.
Yeah.
What's happened today is that all these stories that the status quo is telling about older women, like we're invisible, that we don't have uteruses that work anymore, so who cares about you? We're old. I mean, all these stories that are being perpetuated, and buying these creams will help you, and getting Botox will help you, and all these kinds of stories. Those stories are socially constructed. So let me go back in time. When, to your point, was we used to pantomime and grunt when we were communicating, right?
Yeah.
And pretty soon we ended up learning a language.
Developing that, yeah.
Developing a language. And then it was, hey, run from this TRX. That's an exercise. From this T-Rex that's running after us, and get to safety. So what happened to us with storytelling initially, and it still is today, but not so much, it's around survival.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier to say those words out loud rather than grunting and pantomiming and like, are you hungry? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. So then it became survival, and then it became a way of passing down culture. So in Native American culture, society, way back when, it used to be the women that actually were the storytellers. And the reason for that is that they were usually the ones that take care of the children. And so, right. And so they would pass on the stories, the culture to their children. And that's been completely obliterated as far as I can see. In that, again, we are being told, sold and told all these stories about us. And we have to do this. And if we don't do this, shame on you. So I'm going to just say, telling your own story is the only way that you are going to disrupt what they're saying. Because if you don't say it, people don't hear it, right? But what's happened is our culture makes it very difficult for women to say things out loud, to say their truth. And the reason why is because we put on this, like, I can do anything. I can do everything. I have it all together. And then when you start talking to these women are like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one that was going through that. I thought I was the only one that was ashamed. I thought I was the only one that, couldn't get my act together, and all those things that we internalize, when actually it's the system that's keeping us where we are. And until we start sharing our stories and coming together and supporting each other, it's not going to get done.
Yeah. And especially in the United States, I must say, I mean, there are other cultures where it's not as severe as in the United States, where really the whole culture is youth oriented, and aging, and even advertising to the 50-plus-year-old woman is kind of done by 20-year-olds, so,
Yeah. There's that, oh my gosh, there's that song, I know who, it's very funny, I can't remember, but it was about Victoria's Secret, and it's this song that says this guy in Iowa is the one that created Victoria's Secret. It wasn't like a young woman or even a woman, right?
Right,
so,
right. But then but that's the truth, and then it feels, or it sounds, or it is a reality that the truth may not be wanted in the advertising or in the promotion business, because it's not tantalizing, it's not pretty enough, it's not whatever enough,
right.
The truth
not
is
enough.
It's not enough.
Right.
So what is that all about?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So the disruption of this whole trend, this whole fantasy, actually, to come back to the beauty of the reality, and what really matters, and what the truth is, the incredible, the treasure chest of experience and knowledge, and what older women can share, and also how to radiate that beauty that really ageless beauty comes from the inside out. It doesn't come from the creams or from the manipulations.
Absolutely. Well, let me just say, it is in the United States, it's a $1 billion industry, cosmetics and plastic surgery, $1 billion. So that's why the status quo, that's why the people that in power don't want us to be natural and not buy this and buy that and be promised all these things. Because the truth is, I mean, you've seen women. I mean, it's one thing if women decide to do it, right? If they want to get breast implants because they want to feel empowered about their body, fine. That's their decision. It's a total other thing to, go on my girls have 31-year-olds that are doing Botox. I mean, why? And that's the thing, women are objectified. We are from the get-go, we are objectified, and it's still very much that way. And so we, in the United States specifically, we are very youth-oriented, and it breaks my heart because I see these young women on like Instagram and being provocative and all these other things and filters and all. And I'm like, holy crap, they're going to wake up one day, even if they do have plastic surgery, and go, what do I want? Who am I? What matters? Right. And even we're guilty of this, even in the wellness industry. I'm sure you can agree with this, that go to the spa, get a massage, do all these things, to make your internal. No, go sit under a tree and hug it if you want.
Right.
Go laugh.
Go hug others or go within. There is so much beauty within you. But it is really, it's this, it's what we see it's in the media, it's almost like the hypnotizing thing that reaches our subconscious mind. It's not even that we know it.
Right.
It's subconscious. It's everywhere, and it attacks us. It's actually frequencies that are embedded in certain messages. It's
absolutely.
Really,
I mean, it's insidious, and I find it interesting. This does have a point. I find it interesting that the previous president of the United States, the one good thing that he did was that he raised up and we saw all the racism and sexism and misogyny in the United States. Trevor Noah said it best. He's from South Africa. His dad was white and his mom was black. And he said it best. I would much rather go to South Africa and know where I should go and know what I should do, rather than here in the United States, where we're like, land of the free, everything's so beautiful and we love each other. And it's so insidious and it's everywhere. And so is ageism, so is sexism, so is racism. And that's the only way that we are going to change that, is if we come together. Because if you're defeated, a woman defeated or shamed, I'll give you an example. In academia, you get promoted through your publications, and if you get National Institute of Health grants. And so I'm a woman in my 40s. I have my PhD. I've been at this job for 10 years teaching and doing research. And I'm looking around, I'm burnt out, I'm depressed. Because part of it is I can't get published. I can't get NIH funding. And Bob down the hall is making more money than I am. And so as women, we internalize that. It must be me. There must be something wrong with me. When in fact, it is, again, the system that is keeping us, because the truth is men do get published more. They do get more NIH grants, and they get paid more. So that's the truth, but it's the system that supports men in getting ahead.
Yeah.
And until we start having these conversations about, wow, I thought I was the only one that was going through this, or, I thought I was the only one that got fired for, being 50, or I thought, until we start having these stories and coming to support each other, it's just not going to, we're not going to be able to disrupt it.
Right. Well, because it takes courage, and you cannot do this on your own. You need community. You need to band together. You need support. You need to be encouraged, because it's a system that has been in place for a very long time. It is crumbling, and yet we need to build alliances that can supportive alliances that has also not just disrupts and destroys this old terribly dysfunctional system, but brings about the new one. The one that doesn't say we men are whatever. No, it's the collaboration of it. It's the new men. It's the kind of because it's not that we don't need our men. we want them to
Absolutely.
believe
Uh,
them.
I have a LinkedIn audio called Women Disrupting LinkedIn. And we often, and usually it's only women that show up, which is fine. Sisterhood, we need a community, and we talk very frankly about things. But we always have this conversation, usually every time, and that is, this is not against men. Okay. I'm married to a white man. I have a white son. I cannot be against men. Yeah. I'm against the hyper masculine society that we live in. Yeah. And it's not only affecting women, but we get affected a lot more, but it's also affecting men. And, it's also affecting Black people. And it's also, it's all these other people that are not at the, the 1%. So I just want to make it clear. So I was just seeing on a reel about the Palestine and Israel war. And he said, what happens is the Israelites all get together and those people are bad. Those other people are bad. The Palestinians are bad, right? We need to conquer them, or whatever they're saying to each other. But when you have a circle that only talks the same way you do, or lives the same way you do, or believes the same things you do, then you're going to have silos and what they call echo chambers, right?
Yeah.
And Palestinians are doing the same things to the Israelites. Oh, yeah. They're the bad people. They're the they're bombing us and all this kind of stuff. And what he said, and it's so simple, but we've made it so complicated. What he said was, we are all humans.
Yeah.
And
there really is no era. Yeah.
Right. And there is no, it's been socially constructed that Jews and Arabs, don't get along, and that they fight and all that kind of stuff. Well, it turns out, I just learned this, but in the Gaza Strip, there's a lot of Christians. So you can't generalize about people. You can't generalize about women. You can't generalize about older women. You just can't do that. And the only way to create empathy is if we tell each other stories. And to your point, it takes courage and vulnerability, which is hard to come by if you're feeling a lot of shame, or you're depressed, or you're burnt out. The last thing you're going to do is
becoming vulnerable on top of it.
Right, right. Or even having feel like you can have a voice,
Yeah, right. Yes, because there is this underlying. I don't know why we have been brought up. I have been brought up. I'm even much older than you are, in a world at a time where getting older had to be, now you have to cover up your arms, right? Because they don't look all that great anymore. And
right.
And now people women look in the
yeah.
Really, I understand it, because we love beauty, right? Naturally, we love beauty. So, but there's also a realization, and it's just nature, that the outside, this physical body, is aging.
Right.
You can't stop it, and you are not singled out. It's not that you go through this. It feels when you're at that age where you feel you don't have that voice anymore, or it takes you a little bit longer to explain something. Then some of these 20-year-olds or so, they talk at a speed. So then those younger people don't want to have the patience to listen, and they interrupt, they do all of this. So that compounds that feeling of, I'm not worth anything.
Right.
I shouldn't be heard. It's this is it for me. I'm off. I'm at the back burner now. It's I've lost my maybe I'm not even lovable anymore, and that's when it goes really, really deep. That feeling of, what is my worth? Am I still livable? Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking, I don't know. I agree there are changes. It's beginning to crumble. But my hope is that I'll be around to see that we're raising girls and boys differently, that we're really, I mean, I'd be really excited to see that we're starting out with girls are worthy. And I mean, I've said this before, that, and I grew up I was born in 1963, just turned 60. So I grew up in the time where I was the oldest, and then my sister came around 14 months later, and then my brother, he was born 5 years after me. And I'm not kidding you. He was not only was he the baby, but he ended up having the right appendage. And so I learned very early about worth. And I learned, and even today, my brother gets away with so much stuff. It's not unbelievable. But and then you go to school, and back then, like, don't raise your hand, don't be quiet, sit in your chair, and all these other things. So we've been taught, and we've been shamed, all our lives. And I talked about this on the last LinkedIn, and I was sharing my personal story. Just read something that said, your personal story is your universal, and I believe that.
Yes, it is. The more I heard this from Bo Eason, who is one of the greatest storytellers.
Oh,
and he says the more personal, the more universal.
yeah.
Because when we really go deep in our most the things that matter to us the most, heart of heart stories.
Yeah,
we are all the same there.
Yeah. And I started out, it was actually with Dawn. We did this last LinkedIn, and we're doing a publishing. She's publishing. We're writing and co-editing Owning Your Ovaries anthology.
What an amazing title that is.
I know.
Owning Your Ovaries. Yes.
Awesome, right? I mean, like, it's always like, grow a pair. No.
A little bit disruptive, but this is what it needs to be, right?
Yeah. You can thank Dawn for that. That was her baby. But I'm owning it now. But I started out because I really am vocal. You'll find this kind of funny. I'm actually an introvert, but when I do things like this, I get fired up, and I'm so excited about it. And on my LinkedIn audios, I'm always like, come on, tell your story. You tell your story. And I realized, I told them my personal story, that I was molested when I was very young. And because I think people see me and go, wow, she can tell her story. She must be privileged, and she must be
have it all together.
Yeah, have it all together, which I haven't. I've just now kind of figured it out. But that's my whole point, is that I had some crappy things that have happened in my life, and have persevered and learned from them, and feel it's my duty to tell these stories so that we aren't shamed. It's not my fault that the old man down the street was molesting me. It's not my fault that I went down there in the first place, or that I continue to go. It's not my fault. It is his fault, and it is my parents' fault. And that's, if we're going to have fault, that's where it's going to lie. So I said, I understand how vulnerable it is and how courageous you need to be. But I also tell you that there is nothing like connecting over stories. Yeah. There's nothing about like sharing the personal. I got a DM right after the LinkedIn audio saying, I'm going through the same thing. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to seek help. I'm trying to figure out if something like that happened to me. Yeah. So yes.
And this, because it triggers feelings and emotions. Yeah. And that side of us is connected with our soul, with our spirituality. It is not, the rational thinking. It's the feeling, and that's why it's so powerful, because that's how we also remember things,
Absolutely.
Isn't it something you tell somebody what to do or whatever, but if you make somebody feel in a particular way,
Yeah.
that's how you will be remembered.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's the only, back to that, we're all human beings. We are, there's nothing othering that happens. And it's actually storytelling is the only way that we create empathy. We don't do it with 63% of rapes are unreported. Well, what's the story behind that? The story is that 11% get into the court systems, 0.7% get charged with something, and 0.6% actually do any kind of prison time. So as a woman, if that story is being told to you,
marginalized, yeah,
would you feel brave enough to say, hey, listen? So I understand that it's really, really hard. And that's why one of the things that I try to do is create these spaces, kind of like what you do, where women feel comfortable stepping up and stepping forward and talking about menopause and periods and all these other things that, again, we've been shamed for. Yeah. And 50% of the population goes through it.
Yeah. You go through it, but you don't talk about it.
No. I wrote a post on, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, I just was going to say, I wrote a post about menopause on LinkedIn, probably about, 3 or 4 months ago. You cannot imagine the number of women that responded to that. And one of them was like, we don't talk about this. Like, one of them was a young woman and said, I was really not looking forward to menopause because it sounds so scary and no one talks about it. And now people are beginning to understand, like, menopause is a real thing. Like, it's physiological, it's mental, it's all this hormonal stuff going on. And so we're now understanding, because women are starting to talk about it, right?
Yes. Thank God. It's about time.
Yeah.
No, and that we are entering. There's so much more to say. I will really want to have you back on the show. Many themes, because we are also really entering a new era, a new world history. I mean, the whole world is shifting.
Yeah,
and we are here we came into this lifetime for a purpose,
right?
Not only to maybe elevate our own soul and develop personally in our own self and being, but to affect the global, to affect all of humanity, to be one light that comes together with other lights to create a bright light, to create a real shift, because that shift is necessary. Otherwise, we are going into extinction. We are right on that path.
I agree. And I think, I know you're going to open this up pretty soon, but I just wanted to say, to your point about the infrastructure and some of the societal stuff is crumbling, right? There, you can tell that because men who have been in power forever, white, middle-aged men, are running scared. Like, they're doubling down even harder, like Roe versus Wade. Like, we're going to control these women. We're going to, and so the whole thing is storytelling. Everyone needs to get more in touch with their feminine side. The collaboration, the communication, the storytelling, the helping each other, being kind, love. I mean, all those things. We're all capable of it, but we live in this hyper masculine, make this money, screw these many women, or, it's like, these are the bars, right? And so it's not about, and what that will do is not only save ourselves, humans, but it will save the planet. It will save Mother Earth.
The Earth actually is in the age of Aquarius. I mean, it's not and do you remember when we were singing that song so long ago?
Yes.
we are actually in this era now. And so, I mean, the fifth world era, which is every 5,000 years, ended in 2012, right? So we have been shifting since then. But I mean, a lot is going on in the world right now, and it we affect the energy of the world.
Right.
The world is a living organism, affects us, because it's right now it's kind of fighting back. Almost,
yeah, for sure. I mean, I worked up at the Campo Kumeyaay Reservation, which were the indigenous Native Americans here, the first people of San Diego, which wasn't San Diego, but you know what I mean. We stand on the Kumeyaay ground, and their word for earth and body is mata. So it's the same. They don't differentiate between.
I just get major goosebumps. Truth. Yeah. Oh my God. With that, we have to close this part of the show and continue this conversation right after I stop the recording. Thank you so much for those who cannot be with us or stay with us, or if you get the recording, the replay, please come back often, check and be here live, because then you have the opportunity to speak with me or with my guest in the second part of the show. So bye-bye for now.